What's up, challengers? Zach here. We got a GLC deck profile for you guys. This GLC deck profile is featuring what I like to call my reversal electric deck. And so reversal electric is pointing more towards the attackers that allow you to do stuff or get extra going because you're down on prize or you're up on prize. You have more prizes than your opponent. So to start with the deck profile, I'll start with the Luxray line. So in most electric decks, you might see people only playing just the Luxray as an attacker just because you can cheat him out. In this scenario, I've opted to go part spread, part just beat down for my attacking strategy. So I actually kind of like the Luxio and Shanks line. So it makes it so that I can play the Luxray from hand and then while working on getting up the basic in stage one. So I can realistically get a Luxray off twice in a game. And so the first card that we have is a Big Roar. Allows you to just kind of make your opponent switch their Pokemon. But the real interesting card here is the Luxio, and for his first attack, Shorting Spark. This attack does 90 damage to each of your opponent's Pokemon that has a tool attached for one electric. That's depending on the matchups. People don't tend to play a lot of tools, but when they do like to play tools, they kind of attach a U-turn board or a float stone to their Malamar or Zatu or their 90 HP Pokemon. So you could probably actually steal some games with just Shorting Spark by itself. So it makes him a viable attacker even without evolving into Luxray. Luxrays are our boy here for one electric and two colors, just does 180 damage while dealing 20 damage to himself. Like I mentioned at the start, he can cheat himself into play if you go down on prizes. Next card is actually, I think, a underrated card in most decks I see. Like they like to play the free retreater or the spread version of Tapu Koko. I, however, like him for both of his attacks, the first attack being Summon Lightning. Summon Lightning lets you to search your deck for up to 2 Lightning Pokemon, reveal them, and put them into your hand. So he's kind of like a very good setup Pokemon. If you get them out early, your opponents, they tend not to play the disruption early. So like you're either forcing the disruption early or you kind of get away with being able to set up your board pretty easily. There's nothing like being able to, turn one Buddy Poffin and then search for, your evolutions right from the rip. Now, so one of the key cards for this whole reversal strategy is the next card we're going to talk about, Magneton. So this Magneton, there's a lot of good Magnetons, and a lot of Magnetons kill themselves to give your opponents prizes, but this one has the ability Call Signal. Once during your turn, before you attack, you may search your deck for up to 3 supporter cards, reveal them, and put them into your hand. Then shuffle your deck. If you searched your deck this way, this Pokemon is knocked out. So it allows you to your opponent to go down on prizes, and you stay at 6. So this is a card that allows you to, well, for me, it's a card that allows you to make the deck a little bit more consistent by searching for exactly the cards you need. And as you'll see later, there's a card called Lieutenant Surge's Strategy. It allows you to play 3 supporters in a turn. And so these two cards synergize pretty well, and the fact that you go down, or your opponent goes down in prizes means you can cheat out a Luxray, or you can use reversal energy right from your turn 2 basically. So it makes it very, in my opinion, a very powerful card that enables the entire deck with reversals, counter energies, Luxrays, Tapu Kokus, you name it. Now, so these guys are the basic attackers at the start, but now we have some of the spread guys, and so this is kind of the spread package I'm playing as the Electivire and Regieleki. Regieleki being one of the better cards in Electric in general, but Electivire being a very good spread card too. So we start with the Generations Electabuzz. We play him because he's got 70 HP and he becomes a Buddy Poffin target. Basically it. The next card is Electivire. His first attack, you're desperate if you're using it, but the second attack is High Voltage Current for double electric and a colorist. He does 50 damage to each of your opponent's bench Pokemon. So that's a very good spread tactic. Comboing this with a lot of other pieces. So if you get him off this and a Terra Spark, you're killing most support Pokemon. You'll also see that some of my support Pokemon only have 90 HP. Malamar has 90 HP. And so oftentimes it's enough to either take out the support Pokemon or bring the heavy attackers within range of your other attacks. Regieleki being a double, he's got another desperate attack for colorless for 20, but his main attack is Terra Spark. 120 to the active, discard all electric energy from this Pokemon. This attack does 40 damage to 2 Pokemon on the bench. And so you tend to kind of pair this with the double Dynamotors and just playing like Recycle Energy or Generic Energy that doesn't get discarded. And if you can find an option to switch this Pokemon to the bench to use Dynamotors, it kind of lets you be aggressive again if they don't manage to kill it. For the final spread attacker, we actually go with Morpeko. So a lot of builds play Zapdos and Morpeko, or one or the other. I'm trying out Morpeko right now, namely for his Torment attack. The Torment attack being able to allow you to prevent the I guess I'm gonna call them the boss monsters, the boss Pokemon of a lot of decks. And so Torment allows you, it does 20 damage, and it allows you to choose one of your opponent's active Pokemon's attacks during that next turn. That Pokemon can't use that attack. So in a lot of cases, it's like Raging Bolt Snipe, or like a Whale Lord can't use his only one attack to attack you. So it allows you to stall out a lot of Pokemon that have abilities, especially. A lot of Pokemon that have abilities only have one attack, so you get to stall out pretty easily a lot of attacks, and you'd be surprised how easily it is to kind of stall your way through. And then secondarily, we have the Spark attack. It does a 50 to the active and 20 to the bench for 2 energies. And so these cheap attackers are actually pretty helpful in this build. Next, we start with some of the other support Pokemon. So first we have Zebstrika. I had at first tried to do this build focusing mostly on just Magneton, but I felt that after getting Iono'd mid to late game, you still need a draw option. So even if you don't tend to use Sprint to support yourself later in the game or early in the game, it's still nice at the end. And if you don't know, Zebstrika's main ability, Sprint. Once during your turn, you may discard your hand and draw 4 cards. So it's just a very basic draw engine. And last, we have the Dynamotors. Dynamotors, once during your turn before you attack, may attach an electric energy card from your discard pile to one of your bench Pokemon. And so this being GLC format, you can only play 1 copy of every card, but we do have two different Pokemon that have the Dynamotor ability, and so we're choosing both of these. This Dynamo being specifically chosen because of its free retreat cost, and this Mareep being chosen for 1 retreat, and it's got the Fluffy Pillow once during your turn. If this Pokemon is your active Pokemon, you may leave your opponent's active Pokemon asleep, so you can try and stall it when you're desperate. That's the main idea here. And these are the supporter cards that we play in our Lightning deck, our Reversal Lightning deck. And we'll start the supporter discussion with Lieutenant Surge's Strategy. I can only play this card if I have more prize cards remaining than my opponent, and during your turn, you can play 3 supporter cards, including this card. So it synergizes with the Magneton, it synergizes with the energies that you're going to probably search for. It allows you to kind of kickstart the deck, and being able to play extra supporter cards is kind of busted. The way that the cards are being presented right now, I've kind of organized kind of like the cards that I searched for. So like the top 4 cards with Lieutenant Surge's Strategy, Arven, Brock Scouting, Colress's Tenacity, and Volkner, are typically the go-to cards I'm looking for when I'm playing, when I'm using the Magneton's ability to search for 3 supporters. It's usually I'll search for Lieutenant Surge's Strategy, I'll do a deck search to see what type of energies are available in the deck, and then I'll look to make sure that Luxray's in the deck, and then I'll kind of judge what I want to pick based on that. And so Arven allows you to get Evolution Incense and a tool to switch a Pokemon out if you need to. Brock Scouting is going to be able to support your setup. You can either get the 2 basic, or it's going to be the evolution Pokemon, so you search for Luxray. Colress's Tenacity is going to allow you to search for the counter energy or the reversal energy, primarily reversal energy in most cases. And then Volkner is just going to be another supporter card that allows you to search for an item, which would then search for Evolution Incense, or you can search for Speed Energy, or no, you can't. You can search for just a basic Lightning Energy to maybe discard for something like Ultra Ball if you have to go for an Ultra Ball instead of your Evolution Incense, and that way you get the energy in the drop zone or the discard pile. So these are kind of the go-to supporters when you're using your Magneton. Everything else just kind of supports being able to do the deck more often. So Caitlin and Cynthia allows you to pick up supporters like Lieutenant Surge's Strategy after you've played them. So like a common strategy with Cynthia and Caitlin and Lusamine is, you already have pieces in your hand, so you only need the energy in Lieutenant Surge. So your opponent took a knockout, or you expect them to take a knockout again next turn, maybe you'll search for Cynthia and Caitlin again. So you play these 3, play Lieutenant Surge, play Colress, and then you play Cynthia and Caitlin to pick up Lieutenant Surge's Strategy once more. And so the next turn you can play Lieutenant Surge's Strategy again if you're still up on prizes. So that's kind of the whole vibe of the deck, to kind of just try and play around. Cynthia and Caitlin also kind of just being a way to draw extra cards too, outside of being able to discard your hand with Sprint. Guzma Hall is just a generic. Another backup card for Colress right now, where it allows you to search your deck for a stadium, and if you discard 2 other cards from your hand when you play it, you get to search for a switch tool and a special energy. So these 2 cards being the cards that allow you to search your deck for counter energy and reversal energy. I like Lusamine in the deck because it's the same strategy with Caitlyn and Cynthia. You can pick up Lieutenant Surge's strategy. And in the scenario with Lusamine, you can actually just kind of pick up both cards that you played. So if you want to go for the donk with Brock Scouting and you have pieces, you get to search for Lieutenant Surge's strategy, Brock Scouting, get the evolution, and then you pick up both cards again. So you'll play Lieutenant Surge's strategy. Maybe this time you'll get, instead of an evolution Pokemon, you get 2 basics. It allows you to be flexible. Common cards in any deck you'll probably see in GLC. Guzma is a very good boss effect card. Raihan being able to allow you to come back if you're missing some extra energy attachments. Gladion's kind of your fixer. He'll be a card that allows you to fetch pieces like Lieutenant Surge's strategy, Luxray, or any other combo pieces that are important for the strategy of the deck. Hex Maniac is to turn off bench barriers. I know for just classic Disruption and Clara, just to be able to get back your Luxray or your energies or any Pokemon that gets bullied early via boss effects. Now for our item cards, so our item cards will start with just the basic Pokemon search. So as you have noticed with choices with like Electabuzz and whatnot, 70 HP is a good target to hit for Buddy Poffin, so it makes a very viable Pokemon search card early. It's also an item that allows you to be searched for with Volkner and Arven for setup purposes. Heavy Ball to try and fish out the Magnemite or piece from your prizes if you find that it's stuck there for your strategy, and then some other just simple basic Pokemon search. So Nest Ball being a card that just lets you search for any Pokemon, some namely like the Tapu Koko or something. Level Ball allows you to search for most of the basic Pokemon or the Dynamode or evolutions, which is kind of its main appeal. And Evolution Incense lets you get all of the evolutions. It allows you to make the play of your Lieutenant Surge turn, allows you to search for Electivire, allows you to search for Luxray, allows you to get a lot of stuff off. So it's just cheap, 1-1-1 for this. Electric Power is another card that allows your electric Pokemon to do 30 extra damage this turn that you play it. It's very good for reaching a little bit further, getting a little bit extra damage before you spread. It's a very good card. It allows your most of the time it's what allows you to kind of get the little extra bump you need to knock out a bigger Pokemon. Field Blower is being played just as a good support. Luxurious Cape goes in and out of the meta a lot of the times, kind of just based on what decks see a lot of play, but this is a card that helps disrupt the float stones, disrupt the capes. You kind of don't want to play this if you know your opponent's playing a cape. You want to kind of hold it for those capes. But with electric decks, you kind of want to sprint a lot with Zebstrika, so like you'll just play it, just get out of your hand, but try and hold on to it. Next we have some recovery cards in Rescue Stretcher and Night Stretcher. These cards allow you to get your Luxrays back to evolve Luxio into Luxrays. Allows you to recover some of your setup Pokemon if you need to. It's also good just getting extra energy attached. Next is Pokemon Communication. This is another 1-1 search. So this was previously Ultra Ball in my deck that I would get, but I actually kind of like Pokemon Communication now because of Zebstrika. So like, let's say you don't want to discard the Pokemon, but you did work your way into Pokemon Communication. You can swap the Pokemon, one Pokemon for your hand for one Pokemon in your deck, basically, when you play Pokemon Communication. That way you don't lose it and you're not forced to recover it later. So it's just a very good generic search for an evolution Pokemon card, if you have a Pokemon, though, in your hand already. Next is Escape Rope. It's a very classic disruption. It's a very good disruption. I play the yellow one because it's a lightning. Verse Seeker, another very good card, allows you to replay some of your supporters. It'll even allow you to pick up like Lieutenant Surge, so fitting the same strategy as Lusamine and Caitlyn and Cynthia, just to replay some of your supporters. Countercatcher, again with the theme of being a reversal type deck. If I'm up on prizes, I can play this card as a boss effect, as an item card. Professor's Letter lets you search for 20 basic energies. And I play Red Card as another form of disruption that I can search out for with Volkner or Arven. That way, if I have the right combo pieces, I can use Red Card to disrupt my opponent instead. As you'll know, some of like aside from the basic Pokemon search, which is a little light, that's why I play cards like Brock Scouting right now, just to have the option of being able to search for an evolution or the 2 basic Pokemon. But there's a lot of items here that are kind of like toolboxy a little bit. So like the idea is to allow cards like Volkner and Arvin be able to search the deck for like an answer in those scenarios. Next we have stadiums and tool cards. So first we'll start with the stadiums. A card that's a little bit unusual to see in electric spread decks is Parallel City. My deck's not all the way into spread, so I kind of like to use Parallel City as a card to kind of force my opponent to get rid of Pokemon before I start the spread. It allows you to kind of like make the decision or force your opponent to kind of use some of their like recursion, some of their Pokemon support from the drop zone. It kind of forces them to use it early before you get any knockouts. So that's kind of like the main reason why I like to play Parallel City. It's also kind of just a nice card to have to play preemptively so they can't Parallel City you. Silent Lab being a very good card for Lightning Spread or any kind of spread deck. Each basic Pokemon in play in each player's hand and each player's discard pile has no abilities. So this is intended to turn off cards like the new Shaman from Destined Rivals, Manaphy. I think I don't know if there's any other basic bench barrier. There's Mew and Mr. Mime in Psychic. So the intent is to kind of just shut off those bench barriers. It's also just kind of a stadium bump if those aren't actually factors. And then Stormy Mountain's a very good card. This is, when you play Colress as one of your 3 cards for the Lieutenant Surge turn, you'll typically get Stormy Mountains to help kind of slowly set up your bench while going with the Donks with Luxray. It kind of allows you to search out for like a more Petco if you expect the counter Donk to allow you to kind of stall out the turn if you don't think you have a follow-up option. And then for items, we stick with very simplistic item choices. I tend to like to play more item cards in my decks than I notice other people on Cardboard Warriors. But for this deck, I kind of had to trim down to just 3 items. So Muscle Band for that extra reach to make the 140 hit, plus the spread damage going for 190s or 180s. It's just a very good card for reaching a little bit extra. Floatstone and U-turn board just to allow myself to pivot more often. I don't play as much swapping options as some other electric decks. It's basically just Escape Rope right now. In previous versions, there were cards like Birdkeeper, and I think Switch that kind of just allowed me to make those options more actively. But instead, I've kind of just gone with these 2 tools now because I play cards like Morpeko, Tapu Koko that have 1 retreat cost. Mareep has a 1 retreat cost, so I can use the Fluffy Pillow, retreat Mareep onto the bench, evolve into it. And it just because it has a 1 retreat cost now, so I can preemptively Dynamotor to it if I think it's going to be a pivot option in the turn following, and Floatstone to make it an actual pivot. And so now we have our energy count for the deck. We're playing 9 energy cards, 5 electric. A lot of the back and forth with energies in the electric type deck for Dynamotors is trying to figure out the right balance of at least basic electric energies to make sure you're getting your Dynamotors off successfully. And I've kind of landed at 5, just basic electric energies on you. But anyway, reversal energy is as long as this card is attached to a Pokemon or provides colorless energy. If you have more prize cards remaining than your opponent, and if this card is attached to an evolution Pokemon that doesn't have a rule box, this card provides every type of energy but only provides 3 energy at a time. So use Magneton, your opponent goes down to 5 prizes, reversal energy becomes active. Search your deck for the 3 supporters. You can search for, Lieutenant Surge's strategy, a supporter that searches for an energy, and a supporter that enables you to search for a Pokemon. You get a Luxray right from the deck. Next energy we have is counter energy. It's similar but different. So counter energy's upside is that it can be attached to every Pokemon. It has the same restrictions. It's only colorless energy, but it provides 2 of any energy, and it can be attached to any Pokemon. And the last 2 energies we have are Recycle Energy. Recycle Energy's idea is that we have Electric has a lot of 3 energy attackers, and Recycle Energy comes back to your hand when it's discarded from play. And so you use your double Dynamotor to put the 2 electric, and Recycle Energy is always going to be around to be that 3rd energy cost. And then rounding out the energy, Speed Energy. Speed Energy is just a very nice energy. It can only be attached to Lightning Pokemon, but when you attach from your hand, you just draw 2 cards. Very, very strong energy. I think about trying to cut energies all the time, but it's too hard to figure out what you want to cut. But you obviously never want to cut a card that just lets you draw 2 more cards for something that's mandatory for being able to attack with Pokemon. So that's my deck profile for what I like to call my electric reversal deck. A lot of the cards are kind of set up to allow you to get the cheap right away attack. So if your opponent likes to play aggressive as well, and they take a knockout before you even get to do Magneton, hopefully you can kind of get 2 uses out of Luxray before reversal energy is knocked off. I find a lot of times it's like 50-50 if Luxray gets to stay around or not, because your opponent's always trying to build the same similar strategies to be able to take knockouts every turn as well. So, but it is pretty nice when you do get to get multiple Luxrays off. It's kind of like pushing the gas even harder. But that's the deck profile, you guys. I appreciate you guys tuning in this whole time, watching all the matches I've been doing for the past few months or so. I've kind of just been trying to grind along, getting game matches up every day, GLC matches up every day. I do a short and a match every day. I'm thinking about trying to throttle it down a little bit, just maybe figure out how I want to start editing some of my videos. It's just a lot of time commitment to do a lot of the editing, and so I think deck profile is a good middle ground for getting more interactions with people who actually decide to watch my videos, which I appreciate. And if you guys like more content like this, let me know in the comments down below. I'll probably think about doing a steel and a grass deck profile next. I'm kind of working on grass right now. I tend to, for grass type decks, I think it's probably my favorite type deck. I tend to like doing the double attack decks, and I'm kind of getting pretty close to being happy with my Applin, Diplin, and Jump Off deck. But we'll see where that goes in the future. But anyways, thanks for watching, guys.